I think what you really want to understand is that if you're looking for a place in a retirement home, uh, you want privacy. I would say if you're going to strive for anything, you strive for a private room. All of our rooms are private.
In this video, you'll meet Dennis Levesque, who's the Chief Administrative Officer at the Saints Peter and Paul residence in Scarborough, Ontario. And in this video, you'll hear about how the residence's unique nature as a nonprofit organization influences its mandate. You'll also hear about how it attracts a really diverse group of people in the apartment complex, as well as the retirement residence attached to it. And you'll also hear him explain the questions that you should be asking when you're looking at your retirement options. So why don't you start by telling us 3 things that you love about your job?
My job. I love it because I'm able to focus the attention of staff to achieve the objectives that the board of directors has given us. That's one. The second thing is I actually love being around the staff. And the third thing, I love being around our residents. It is amazing the history that these residents have. And if you just take the time to sit down and speak to a gentleman or a lady, you find out that they had such phenomenal lives, or better yet, they went through such hardship, because these are seniors now that have lived through the war. And when in our residence, which was primarily created for Ukrainians, so there were a lot of Ukrainians that had to fight their way through Europe to get to Canada. That's why I love my job.
And your role of Chief Administrative Officer is not a title that you see very often in retirement residences, certainly in these interviews that I've done so far. So what about Saints Peter and Paul residence is unique in the way that it is structured organizationally?
I don't think it's much different than most other residences. You're right. The name is rather large. It used to be called administrator, and they felt that the role required more of a higher level administration, which involved hiring, which involved actually establishing budgets. The board, our board, doesn't get involved in the budgets. They don't approve budgets. I do all of that. Mm. So that's primarily the reason for the name.
But it is a nonprofit organization as well.
It is, and therein lies another one of the hardships, is because you're not allowed to show extensive profits, and so we are very one deep in a lot of our jobs. Organizationally, I have a director of care for the retirement home, a registered nurse. Then I have an administration manager that deals with the administration for both the apartment side and the retirement home. I have a finance officer. I have a facilities manager. And then I have an activities coordinator with a receptionist. So we're very, very small. My labor force altogether, we are 34 strong in our building.
Wow. And so how do you spend your day? What does a typical day look like for you at the residence?
So you need to look at it. I guess you look at it from when I first started. It was all about making sure that policies, procedures were all created properly, job descriptions. Right now, my day-to-day job is trying to find some funding for some energy projects that I still have left to do. And then it's basically, I spend a lot of my time walking around talking to the staff, making sure that everybody is happy. And trying to ensure that if we have any failings, procedure-wise, that we rectify them, and that everybody is aware of what the correction is.
And can you describe the mandate of Saints Peter and Paul residence? What was it first incorporated to do, and how has that mandate changed over the years?
The corporation was created to create a group of retirement homes in Southern Ontario for Ukrainians. It only ever went as far as our building, and the mandate that was only there for apartments to begin with. But in 1981, CMHC offered the corporation some funding to actually build a retirement home wing to it. So the mandate changed from simply apartments for seniors. First and foremost, the objective being to assist the indigent, the poor, who needed housing. And then it was all about trying to establish good housing. So that's where the mandate started, and the mandate has pretty much evolved only in the sense that the Ukrainian community has tended to move west. So the newer immigrants coming into Ontario, into the GTA, actually live in the West End. So our mandate really is to support Ukrainians and non-Ukrainians. It was also focused to deal primarily just within our little community, but we've also had to expand to talk about the community at large.
And can you describe the lifestyle there now? What kind of atmosphere do you like to create at the residence?
Well, we're very small. So we have 150 apartments for independent living. And of that, 92 of those apartments are actually allocated to the city for social housing, going back to what our letters patent for the board was, which is to support the indigent. And that's how the Ukrainian community here felt they would do it, is to offer a subsidized housing. We also have a retirement home wing with only 62 beds. We are a small retirement home, and that, I think, is what makes us so unique. We are small, and therefore a smaller organized building requires a smaller organization. Everybody, residents, tenants in the apartment, all get to know the staff very well, and vice versa. So I would say that it's as close to home as you may possibly get, despite not being in a home, in your own personal home. I think also it's about the fact that we also have a common areas. And like I said, our tenants in the apartments and our retirement home residents get to have access to common areas on our first floor. Very large, I call it a great hall, primarily where they meet, and they can meet and talk or watch TV. We have a chapel. We have a multi-purpose room where we run activities for everybody. We have a lounge that used to be pretty active years ago, is not so much in use nowadays, and a boardroom. So we have different meeting rooms. We've also had a greenhouse that we have taken away, and I'm now converting that into a visitors center, so that we can deal with viruses of any kind, because we've discovered that that's important. We also have an aging population. People used to, the definition of a senior's residence in the city of Toronto is age 59 or older. I mean, our retirement home averages 90 years of age. So people are coming into apartments, and people are coming into retirement homes at a much, much older age. They want to live at home. And that's a function of what the federal government's direction has been for the last 2 decades, which is to have people living at home as much as possible. So by the time they get into a retirement home, they're coming with some significant cognitive or physical disabilities. And our residents were able to deal with it with our staff.
And what do you think the benefit is in having an apartment building and a retirement residence located in one and the same, and having that overlap?
Well, it's a beautiful transition. It's one thing I've learned from looking at the tenants that move into our apartments is it's a bit of a shock for them to come from a 4-bedroom home to go into a 1 or a 2-bedroom apartment. And it's rather, and as they're older, they find it rather difficult to determine what furniture can come and what can come. But once you're in, you know that you're going to stay in that apartment for a while. And if you need to move need assisted living with everyday functions, the retirement home is right there. So you actually don't leave your neighborhood, which is, and when you consider, if you're coming in, ideally, if you're coming in your mid 70s, you could be spending up to 20, 25 years in our building.
And do you find that that happens a lot for the most part? Is that the residents of the apartment side of things will transition into the area with more assisted care?
We do see that. We see that with our market tenants. The subsidized tenants don't come into the retirement home simply because the government offers no subsidies at all for the retirement home wing. But I see a lot of them doing that. But again, one of the big stoppers is the cost of retirement of a retirement home, because you're looking at and we're a small organization, so we don't offer the extensive services and rather large apartments. But even in our place, you're paying $40,000 a year for a retirement home, as opposed to $16,000 for an apartment. So people tend to stay in their apartments as long as they can. And what we find is some will come to the retirement home, but in most cases, they've gotten to the point where they actually qualify to move into a long-term care facility. And if they can get on the list, then they'll go there.
Right. So what are the levels of care that you can provide?
Well, if you're talking the building as a whole, in the apartments, it's just like renting an apartment. You're moving in. The only thing that you're responsible for is your phone and your TV, your cable internet. That's all that you're required to be responsible for. If you're coming onto the retirement home side, it's just that. A retirement home offers assisted living. So in general, you're capable of living and doing most of your daily functions, but you may need assistance. Primarily, it's in medications. But if you need assistance dressing, if you need showering, those services are provided within the retirement home, because we're fully staffed. I have one nurse on. There's 3 shifts a day. There's a nurse on 24/7, and I have 3 personal support workers, PSWs, that are on also 24 hours a day.
For the residents of the retirement residents of the building, are there activities that are on offer? You said that there was an activities coordinator on staff. What kind of amenities and features can they enjoy there?
I do have an activities coordinator. She's hired primarily to deal with the retirement home wing residents. So I mean, apartment, but if we have concerts, for example, any performers that come in, we open it up to the entire building, and so apartment folks can come down. We try to celebrate the key high holidays and the key events during the year. For example, we would do Thanksgiving, Canada Day, we do Mother's Day, we do Christmas, both the Ukrainian Christmas and so the Orthodox Christmas and I call it the regular Christmas on the 25th. So they're invited to come and participate in those functions if they wish. We have just recently put in a fenced-in patio area outside. That's only for the retirement home residents, and that's just so that they can come in and go outdoors as they like, but within a confined area, so they don't go for a walk.
Mm. Can you talk a little bit more about the worship aspects that are available at the Saints Peter and Paul residence?
Yes, we have a chapel. It's primarily we're on the same property as Saints Peter and Paul Ukrainian Catholic Church. So the land was a donation in the late 50s. And the church is built on the most easterly piece. There's a hall with a massive parking lot, and then we have our building which is in the most western part of the property. And so we have 2 church services a week, normally Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the Catholic priest comes over from the church and performs it there. We have We also have visiting Orthodox priests who can come in, and we allow them to run services in the building. And the chapel is open for personal reflection all 24 hours a day.
And for all the reasons that your residents ultimately choose to move into your building, is there a common reason why, or a popular reason why within your residents?
So I think, I believe it is because we are small. I believe it's because we're pretty well located in Scarborough. We're right at main intersection is Markham and the 401. Bus access to Scarborough Town Center, we're less than 10-minute drive away on a bus. We have 42 Division, the police, right across the street, and it's within walking distance of grocery stores. So, you know what? For apartment people, it's a very nice location. We don't have very much crime at all. I cannot even remember the last event. We had a car stolen in our parking lot. I'm going to say at least 12 years ago. So they have a tendency to like our location, but again, it's because we are a small building. It's not massive. The apartments are, it's 10 stories high on the apartment side. Plus, we've also done a lot of energy conservation measures. We've replaced the roof. All of the air management systems have been changed. We're not required by code to have air conditioning in the corridors. But if you've ever been in a Toronto apartment building in the mid-August, the temperatures can almost hit 50 degrees. And we actually have put air conditioning into the corridors. We've attempted to make life as good as possible for the residents. And for the most part, they all really enjoy the idea that they are helping to contribute to saving the environment.
And you mentioned the diversity in the building, and it ultimately comes from a Ukrainian organization. And so, what are the different ways that the building helps celebrate many different cultures or diverse populations, as well as Ukrainian?
Yes, we predominantly, like I said, we celebrate Christmas, for example, on the 25th of December. We'll celebrate Ukrainian Christmas in January. We allow the Chinese community within the building to develop their own celebrations. We also have a very large meeting room in the basement of our building. Unfortunately, it has no windows, so that's the least enjoyable option. But we allow them to use our multi-purpose room, and it's open, and they all understand it. We allow them to decorate the building. So if we want to do Chinese New Year, we decorate our building, and it sort of allows them to feel part of the entire organization when they're actually downstairs and they're on ladders and they're putting up decorations in our building, and our facility staff are assisting them.
What would you like to see added or changed about either the facilities, the physical facilities, or in terms of the programming that you offer at St. Peter and Paul residence in the near future?
What I would really like to see is I would like to see the government realize the benefit of nonprofit retirement homes, because there are so many people waiting to get into long-term care facilities. The last generalized number I heard is the number of people waiting to get into long-term care equals the number of people already in long-term care. So there's extensive waiting lists. And you know what? We pretty much offer virtually the same the same amenities and the same care as long-term care facilities, and yet we receive no funding at all from the government. And I think it's, and when you're having to wait a long time to get in a long-term care facility, then that's an extra burden that the retirement homes carry. And I think that I believe the government should be looking at this and considering subsidizing retirement homes.
How rare is it to have a nonprofit retirement residence in Canada at all?
Oh, I think there's quite a few, but you're right. They're predominantly faith-based, so they're created by religious organizations, churches, and you know, I only know of the Ukrainian community and some of some of the homes that are in Toronto themselves. I don't know very many of them, but there's not that many compared to for-profit.
Hmm. So what advice would you give to people who are looking at their options now and want to learn more about the nonprofit options that are available?
I think the first thing you need to do is you need to really sit down and identify what is the lifestyle you want. Because if you want a 3-bedroom apartment in a retirement home, you're not going to get it in our building.
Hmm.
It's, you know what, we offer a single private room with, you either share a bathroom or you have your own private bathroom. But it's rather interesting. I've spoken to throughout my time there, I've spoken to many of the residents, and I've always asked the question, do you wish you had a bigger room? And I get the same question. Why do I need a bigger room? I just sleep in this room. I have this great hall to go watch TV. I can go do activities in the multi-purpose room. I can go to the chapel if I want. And they feed me 6 times a day in this, you know, out of the dining room. I mean, they get breakfast, lunch, supper, morning, afternoon tea, and they get a sandwich at 7 o'clock at night. So most of them don't see the need for having a large place. But there are people who want that. And so you need to truly establish what is essential in what you're looking for in a retirement home, and what is nice to have. And you have to whittle that down, because of course everything that is essential has a cost to it. And if you're looking to go into a retirement home, you want to keep the cost as low as possible. And you want to make sure also that you feel that you will fit into that retirement home. I mean, some retirement homes are 10 stories high, you know, 40 units to a floor. I mean, they are very large. So it's, what's the atmosphere you're looking at? So you need to walk around, you need to go visit, see what the place has to offer. Watch to see all of the activities. Be there over a meal. You know, taste a meal. Maybe you don't like the food, or maybe you have special, you know, culinary requirements in life. It's the important thing. But on top of that, you need to understand the finances. You need to truly understand the financial needs for moving into a retirement home. A lot of people have the misconception that they're going to get subsidized, and they just, you know, it's, you know, we start right up front. We are not subsidized. This is what the costs are, and multiply that by 12, and then multiply that by 10, and, you know, you need to make sure you have enough funds. And so we actually like to tell people, actually really early on. I think in this time when we're talking, if we're talking to a family about their 90-year-old mother or father, talking finances is almost a lost cause in a sense, because they're either going to have the money or they're not. It's not like they can start saving. But it's the son and daughter that you want to start saying, you need to start thinking of this now. Mm-hmm. You need to start thinking about it in your 60s, because we are all aging longer. And so we all want to live at home. I don't want to move into a retirement home until I absolutely need to. But if I have to, then I want to make sure that I am financially capable of doing that. Long-winded answer, but in summary, you need the money and you need to know what you really, really want.
What's a question that you don't think enough people ask when they're looking at their options, maybe in the first, the early stages of their search?
I think it's that. It's not a function of what they don't ask. I think it's what they ask all the time, and it's all, do you not have bigger rooms? Do you not have bigger units? Because they're attempting to take a parent from a 3 or 4 bedroom house, and they want to cram all of that into a retirement home, into a retirement room. Even in the apartment side, it's the same thing, and it is it's fairly traumatic on a lot of the seniors, because they don't understand why they can't have all those little tchotchkes that they, and why they can't bring 4 wardrobes worth of clothes and all of the furniture. And so it takes a lot of time to work and convince people. And we have that here too. I mean, at the end of the day, when people come into the retirement home, I would suggest to you that the majority of them are not happy. And then within 3 weeks, they actually see the benefits of it. Why am I sitting at home? I am actually going to go and meet. I have actually met 3 people over here. I'm going to go sit at that table, and I get to do whatever activities we want, and we can enjoy it. So it's not about the question. I think that's the only question they ask too much of. Perhaps to answer your question, they don't understand the finances enough. And so we have to make it really clear that, they ask, well, $3,000. Okay, 3,000. I said, no, stop. Do you understand what 3,000 means? Multiply that by 12 months and then multiply that by 10 years. Because that's potentially, you could be here 10, you could be here 15, who knows? And make sure that you have the funds available.
What is your favorite thing on the menu?
When I first came into the building, they were creating meals. They bought a lot of frozen prepared food, and I walked in and I spoke with the chef. And this has only been over the last 6 years. I spoke to the chef right from the very beginning. I said, I only have one piece of direction for you. I want home cooked food. So we went from having turkey dinners that were like this, come in a turkey roll and you cut, which isn't turkey. And so we're now to partially deboned turkeys. He slices it all up, and we have turkey dinner every 2 or 3 weeks. He rotates it through the menu. But we've done it with everything else. The only thing that they can't cook fresh is they can't do fish, and fruit is rather difficult also. But when I started with one piece of direction, it obviously accelerated, and I said I want fruit with breakfast, and so I would say the turkey dinner is my favorite.
And before, you were speaking about the difficult transition that this is of moving from one point of your life into this next very different phase of your life, and all the literal and emotional baggage that comes with that. So how do you approach those people, those new residents who are having a bit of a difficult time making the transition and easing into this new situation?
It's only by being positive. It's the best thing you do. I've observed several other people in the job who have come in and want to talk to them like they're children, and I absolutely refuse. But I actually, and I advise the staff the same thing. They're not children. Don't treat them like children. Speak to them like they are adults. They are far more senior than we are, and therefore they deserve our respect. But if they're having problems, depending, I may have the director of care speak with them, or I will go and speak with them. It's just, it's all part of establishing that rapport really early. I believe in taking a resident in the retirement home side and making sure that they are introduced to all of the staff, and making sure that the staff, even on evenings or nights, are all there to go and introduce themselves, just so that we attempt to make that person feel as comfortable as possible, as relaxed as possible, and at home.
And how do you handle communications with the family members outside of the home, if they want to keep informed of activities that are going on, or how their family member is doing, and what are those lines of communication that are open to them?
Well, one thing about being a very small, one deep organization is we're not very technically advanced, in the sense that we finally had one person learn how to use Facebook. So now we have a Facebook page. So we post a lot of information to the Facebook, but we also have a website. And one of the things that was created this year is I do memos to the staff. So I do them on a weekly basis. I just talk. I grab a theme and I talk to them. But I also have a section that's for the families of the residents from the retirement home wing. And I also have a section that's for the tenants in the apartments, because they have different needs, and I have different requirements for them. And I have found that they find the website to be very informative, which achieves our aim. But I have found that you have to be upfront with everybody and say, listen, I'm sorry. First of all, you don't have my LinkedIn profile, and I'm not giving you my home address. You know what? Work through the staff if you have any needs, but truly look at the website, and you will get all of the information that you need, and generally within 1 week old.
And finally, just in general, do you have any advice for people who are looking at their retirement options, whether or not it's at nonprofits or for-profits, or another retirement option such as aging at home? What are the things that people should be thinking about in your perspective?
I think what you really want to understand is that if you're looking for a place in a retirement home, you want privacy. I would say if you're going to strive for anything, you strive for a private room. All of our rooms are private. There's no 2 beds in 1 room. So you can also either share a bathroom with another resident, or you can actually be on a side of the building where you have your own washroom. I think that's the fundamental thing that you want to strive for. Understand, though, what your finances will give you. Understand what our building can do for you. I still am a big strong advocate of smaller is better, and I think when you're looking at a retirement home that has 62 beds, so at most you have 62 residents. They can all be seated in 1 dining room, so everybody eats at the same time. Everybody comes down at the same time. Everybody goes through the nursing station at the same time, and they can all meet in the Great Hall after meals or before meals. They can all go to church service if they want, and they can all do activities. And that's where I sense is what is best about our building.